Yo, it's X, and welcome to What's Out Media. Today on the show, you have already seen him before for the Tiggs interview. Uh, it's my boy Nolan. How you doing, my brother?
What's going on, man? Hey, it's good to be back. Glad y'all able to sit down here with y'all today, talk about some business and have a good conversation, high level conversation.
And obviously, we got our man Corey on the mic. What's going on, Corey?
Same old, same old. Chilling here.
So I will
Good.
say this: this is to all the viewers out there. This is a Shaker podcast. We got our guest is from the hometown of Shaker Heights, so we won't go
Sir.
through all that. But Nolan, what were you interested in growing up?
Man. Um, when I was growing up, I was kind of like I didn't have a lot of focus, so I was like one of those kids that used to be like, I want to be like a doctor and a engineer. Like I thought I was gonna do like something like that.
Yeah.
But eventually, I want to say it was around like middle school time. I started getting more interested in businesses and how they work, and specifically like the marketing side of it. I wanted to do
Word,
something
yeah,
with that.
yeah. I was always in the same avenue, and I think I kind of uh, I thought about that in middle school. If you remember, I was at the launch house. I remember back in the day, we'd uh
Definitely,
we'd be clowning, and then I guess I am gonna be telling personal stories. But back in the day on Facebook, I can see it now in memories. But we had like close
hmm
friends, and we used to talk the most crap on close friends to each other, and it was like X don't got money, X broke, blah 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 blah. And then I would look up on Google stacks of money, right? And then I would be like, "Yo, Nolan, like we just made this at the launch house today, right?" So we were
I would be
always
like,
talking
bro,
about like we'd always be talking about that stuff like on the bus, and it was always clowning and yeah, dude.
yeah, man, definitely some good times, bro. Like just like looking back, like bro, like just life was so different. Like biggest worry was like like what girl you gonna hug today at school, like just random stuff,
Yeah, dead ass, and we both know that story, man. We don't need to go there today. Shout
man.
out though, if you watching, shout out. You know what I'm saying? But Nolan, man, what else were you? If I don't remember right, did you do some type of martial arts of some sort?
Yeah, so grown, I actually ended up getting a black belt in Haju Kembo martial arts. I think I was about 13 or 14 when I finally finished. But I started off young, man. Like you know what I'm saying? Really something I stuck out with like pretty long term. I don't do it practice any longer, but I'm glad I definitely did that.
So when did you start that?
Probably like mm, I know specifically because I remember it was like third, second grade maybe. Because I remember I was getting in trouble at school. Just little stuff, really just talking during the class and being annoying. So my parents wanted to like set me up on like with some sort of physical activity or something I could like get better at and focus my energy towards.
I feel that. I feel that.
Mm.
And what are
So I
some of the
definitely,
positive values that came out of that?
man, honestly, I feel like one of the biggest things I got was just how important it is to set goals for yourself and enjoy like the small wins. It like kind of taught me how to be disciplined and stick with something like long term because I could see myself getting better, and that motivated me to want to like stick with it every day.
I'm just trying to get this lighting together. So
Oh,
another question I got for you is Nolan. You also played the instrument, right?
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say started off. I think it was the clarinet,
And then it was a
and then
sax.
and then it was the sax. Yeah, yeah. I definitely like the sax way more. Hated band though. I just felt like all the band teachers hated me for like no reason, man.
Yeah, I always had a love hate relationship with the band teachers. They either rocked with me, but then they would also know I was BSing, right? When you had to do the sheet checks and all that. So, but
Man,
we had some good times, and Mr. Clemens I think was the most clown, and I think Chris and I we talk about this
yeah.
sometimes. We're like whatever we're like partying or like the end of a night of like a party or something, we'll talk about like we was really in band. Do you ever think about that? Like we were really in band, like what we had to do to prep. It's just like it's like you can't really explain it to other people.
Honestly, man, like every once in a while, because I still got my saxophone, I'll just like see it like in the corner of my room, and I'll be like, "Yo, I really did that." Be having to like remind myself because it's actually definitely like something unique. I feel like it's always good for people to like pick up some sort of skill or hobby to like practice or get better at.
Yeah,
Did you
that's
play any
something that
school
not a lot
sports?
of people get.
What was that?
I was just saying that's something that a lot of people don't get.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I know when I was in band, at one point it was more that enjoyed playing. Like I liked playing a concert sheet. It wasn't even about the concert or going to. I hated marching band. Hated it. Always tried to
oh
find a
that
way out
was
of it.
bro.
Always tried to find a way out of it. It was cool though, because it was like no one else was marching, but it was also like goofy. Like I'm wasting my Saturday, my Friday, the whole
Man,
day practically.
literally, man, I remember it was just kind of funny because I remember being in marching band, and then I remember somebody hit me up on Facebook, and they were like, "Yo, we have like practice." It was the summer, and I'm like, "Practice, like, bruh, I don't know nothing about that," and I
And
ended up
that's
getting in so much trouble, bro.
that's why, yeah, bro, it was the Corey. I don't know if you noticed, but for band, it's like this week before. You gotta go to school the week before school starts,
No, I didn't know about that. No.
and you gotta be
Man,
at the middle school from 7:30 to 4. Like you were there the whole day. Your summer was over.
that dang, it was all day.
It was all day. Yeah, all
Oh
day.
yeah, that's intense, man.
And no real like we had a not even a real break. Like we could go to like Wendy's, but that we could do that in high school, right? So it wasn't any different.
Would they like send the
And
email?
I mean, that was just like that was kind of like the main thing. Like you got to be here. It wasn't even like an email. It was just kind of like show your ass up. Essentially, it's band camp
Dang,
week.
I'm trying to think how I missed that invite, man.
So that's when a lot of people quit though, because a lot of people are like, all right, like I enjoyed playing up to this point. Like now y'all got me trying to come to school. But
Yeah,
senior
it's
year,
kind of like try hardy a little bit. 7:30 in the morning, man.
look, I can't say anything too far right now. My brother is, becoming a public servant. But me and Chris had a blast our senior year during band week. We were like,
Oh yeah,
we're not gonna let this like take away our summer. We were like, so we still went, but we were just like low key on some like, let's go, F it, let's go. And
like one
luckily,
final go.
no, yeah, did us, and luckily, but throughout the whole, I was able to get through band just because I had rowing. Rowing, I could get out of like band off a whim. I just got to be like, coach, send in a
Like
text.
you
I
know what
need.
I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that was
That
the
used to be
big thing. I
clutch.
remember that because
I'd be
everyone on
like,
band was like fighting on which one they were going to.
yeah, but no, it was also like I had like Ian and Emily and like all the people who were like in band. They all got there mad early, and they like it's like right after practice. Nolan, we got out of
They be
practice at
making you
like
look bad.
no, I didn't care. I did not give a fuck. They would be getting
Man,
out. We get out of practice at like 8:30. Practice started at like 6, so it was from 6 to 8:30, and then no, it was not. It was like we got out at like 9 or something. And then they
dang.
expected us to be at band at 10:30 till 4. So I'm like, nah, dude, I'm gonna take my time. We got breakfast. I went home. I took like a 40-minute shower, and then I like strolled my ass over to band. And I was like, oh, sorry, I had a coaches meeting today. Sorry, can't make it.
Mm,
So that's how I got out of it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why they
mm.
knew that I was playing that system on them. But that's the way I got out of it.
Man, I remember. I ended up playing football to get out of it. Like I
I
didn't even
remember
want to
you
play
played
football for.
football.
I was
I
like,
remember.
man, football is cool and stuff, but I kind of definitely like just wanted to, you know,
You wanted that clout with
didn't
it.
want to be in bed. Yeah, yeah,
Hey,
that too.
hey, you wanted the Riz. Hey, cause I remember, I remember seeing your ass the first time I ever seen you wear the the dress shirt with the jersey over.
Yeah,
I
that was.
remember clowning with you. We was just chatting, and I was like, "Oh,
Used to be
you,
feeling like
you,
him that day.
yeah, right, yo, you came in like you was him." And I was like, "All
like,
right, Nolan." I was like, "You clowning, bro?" Hey, I was like,
like,
"Hey, he definitely trying to,
excuse
he
me.
definitely trying to rizz up."
Oh no, definitely. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Just like I just remember in high school, bro. Um, I didn't know specific because really I started playing football. My dad real into football. We talked about football, and he really wanted me to do it.
Yeah,
And you know, I'm like, I'll try it out. And it was I was always athletic, but I didn't enjoy like getting hit. Like I'm like, man, that's crazy. Like I'd rather do something where like you just get a little workout in, you cool after. But I'm glad I did it though. It's some good times doing that, and yeah, definitely helped with the girls, man. Because I wasn't getting any girls in high school at that point. I remember I had to do something, man. Shout out to Shaker Football.
so let's talk about that. What you learned from being on the football team, and what was it like? I never, I don't think I've ever had an encounter, maybe in the weight room and off season, but I didn't know what it was like to be on that squad. We kind of shared the same locker rooms, a rowing
Oh yeah,
team, the varsity locker rooms and the showers, but what was it like being on the team?
honestly,
And what years were you? What years were you on too as well?
so I started off. So freshman year, I ended up playing. I mean, no, I was in marching band, so I didn't play that year. I ended up playing sophomore and junior year,
Okay.
and then I stopped senior year, and I just ran track because I did track sophomore, junior, and senior.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what was it like being on a team? Like, well,
Oh yeah, being on the team, man. Honestly, um, it was actually an interesting experience because, of course, like I love the idea of the camaraderie and the team building. Like you feel really good when everybody's doing their what they practice and everybody's showing up and playing the game and we're having a good time. But also, it taught me that like everybody on that team has to be like of like a similar. Everybody has to work together to get the same page because one person's off, it's gonna throw off the whole. And I definitely I'm not gonna say I don't like working with teams, but yeah, it's something I have to like learn how to get into. This is my team. Like I gotta stick with them.
so
Yeah, definitely.
So you're saying that pretty much like everyone had to play their part,
Yeah, and it would just
work
kind
that
of be
clock
like
off.
definitely if somebody didn't step up, um, you know, you got the pressure of like losing your spot, but at the same time, it was those moments like knowing that you might lose your spot that make you like want to grind harder and want to really like show out for the team, and then everybody gets that boost when everybody's doing good. Yeah, we almost went to the like pretty like far in the playoffs. I remember sophomore year, man.
I was about to say, were
Uh,
you on that squad when y'all played St. Ed's?
man, I actually got a crazy story from that game. So
Okay.
I remember we super big game, man. Everybody's hyped up, I remember in the locker room though, they were like, man, them dudes at St. Ed's huge, man. Like everybody on their team big and this and that. We had a solid team, man. We had a couple D1, maybe a few D1 athletes on our starting squad.
Who was light skinned guy? He went to Tennessee.
Joe,
Joe. Joe. Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
Had Joe, Odell, uh, Brian Jones. Who else was on there? Ramses Owens.
Yeah,
Um, we had a few ballers on there. But what's funny? So I was in sophomore year. That was my first year playing football ever.
yeah.
My main position was cornerback on defense, and I didn't start. I didn't start for varsity, so there would be like a very low chance that I would play like during like a super big game.
Yeah.
But I was also because we had to play offense and defense. You had to pick a position, so I picked quarterback. So I was like, yeah, I want to be him, like
Type
I
shit.
fuck with quarterback. But bro, they put me in the rotation, like the roster. So I was like the third string quarterback for varsity, um, which
You
was
was
cool and
behind
all.
A1 Lebo.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So I remember it was Brian Jones, Aiden, and then I want to say Clay had started. Was Clay playing offense at the time or something
Bro, I
like that?
forgot Clay played. I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
Clay was a dog. Clay was a dog. Not gonna lie,
Yeah, he's shifty as fuck. Like, yeah, like those lax players, man. I'm telling you, man.
for sure. But yeah, man, I remember. So Brian. So same as game, man. Big game. I'm thinking I'm not gonna play.
That was
I
a big
haven't.
ass game.
Yeah, no, for real. I haven't played in any big games like this. So I'm like, I'm just like, I'm on the sideline, chilling. I got front row seats. But early in the game, Brian goes down, hurt, doesn't get up. I'm like, oh snap, like, bro, it's been healthy all season, bro. Like, that's crazy. Turns out he hurt his leg. Aiden goes in. You know, Aiden's doing his thing. They're good. They were a good team, bro. We were actually getting smacked. I'm not gonna lie.
it was. I was there. It was. I was actually gonna ask you this question, but I figured that you was like JV, so I was like, you probably weren't like at the game. But this is crazy because that game was like low key a cartoon. You know when the other team is just getting just like done, it was really like that. They was getting returns off punts, like it was
Bro, I felt like I
low
was in the
key,
Super Bowl.
dude. Dead ass, it was crazy.
Like, bro, they helmets was HD, bro. It was crazy, bro. Everybody over there was like like 6'5" and 180. I'm like, bro, these are just like regular school kids. Like, where y'all come
They
from?
get scholarships to go there. My
Man.
senior year, they tried to steal me from Shaker. They wanted me to go row for them, and they were like,
Mm,
"We'll give you a full ride." And I'm like, how would I look being the captain? That's low key like some KD shit. Low key, like, how would I look like being the captain and going
yeah,
to like a team way better? Like, you know what I'm saying?
facts. No, that would be crazy though. That would be crazy.
But
But
back to the story. My bad.
mm. Oh yeah, my fault, my fault. Oh yeah, so Brian gets hurt, Aiden goes in, we're getting smacked up all game. Um, at some point, I think so. I could tell that, bro. Aiden was getting whooped, bro. Like I remember, like we had a good line, but like almost every single play, they're like about to like sack him. He barely has any time to throw the ball. One play, he gets sacked, gets back up. I'm like, all right, we good. Get sacked again, like maybe 5 minutes later, bro's laying on the ground.
You
Coach,
next.
coach like, come here, bro, start warming up. I'm like, start warming up. Like, bro, hold on. I'm like, bro, all right, bet. So I'm warming up on the side, man. You remember Malik Hayes?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember throwing the ball back and forth, bro. Um, just like kind of like getting in my head, like, bro, I'm about to be just, bro. That happened to them, and they like barely playing quarterback, bro. I'm about to get smacked. So I was trying to figure out how to get out of it, but eventually Aiden got back up. I'm like, bet, my guy, and then kept getting smacked some more.
Sheesh, bro. If you'd have had to gone out there, bro.
Hey, who knows what? Hey, man.
Hey,
Hey,
you might have turned into him low key though.
See what I'm
You could
saying?
have you could have put off the comeback, can't lie, but hey, I remember
Put on
that
the
game.
turbo jets. Got a couple touchdowns.
And then the next year was just kind of weird. It was low key competitive though, still.
Yeah, we it definitely, bro. That was like, bro. That literally felt like we were on like I mean, of course it was a team, but like felt like the NFL because I remember like they were like people be talking like, man, everybody good is gone. Like we're gonna be what we gonna do next year, and it was definitely a little struggle for a minute, bro.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have no like standing out athletes like how we did before.
And then the athletes that were like really like they were made to be our classes like golden like duo. They went over to Euclid and that was a big deal at the time.
I remember, man. Yeah, bro, that was actually crazy.
That
Cause
was like it's like some trade type stuff. Like you're like it's the
literally,
NFL or NBA, but the
shout out
brothers,
my boy
man,
Keon.
and Keon, bro. Keon goated, bro. Keon was always like
He's
that.
tough.
He
He's
had
tough.
sticky hands, bro. It that one of the craziest stories, and I always say it, is that Lomon Keon ran for a ball, ran straight into a dumpster, and was laid out. And we
I
in
remember
fourth
that.
grade. Yeah. Laid out. It's like, damn, bro. And then he turned into what he turned. He was a beast. Okay.
No, for
And
real,
David,
bro.
David did his thing as well, man. Like,
I actually just ran into him not too long ago. But
how's he doing?
doing pretty good. I think I'm I think he has I think he was with his kid,
Good to
take
hear
care
it.
of business.
Shout out
But
David Wright, man.
oh yeah, shout out David Wright. But bro, I remember who were we just talking about?
Keon.
Keon. Yeah, man, I remember I kind of like got like a little bit of inside scoop into like what kind of pressure you're under, like when people think you're the best player. And I'll be like, bro, you ready to like for the game tonight, bro? You gonna ball out? He was like, hell yeah, bro. I just gotta do my like his like he had like a way about going getting ready for the game. Like did the same thing every trip.
Look, like a
Like
ritual.
hell yeah. And, like
Yeah.
he would lock in, bro. Like it would be like he was a different person when he's on the field.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Like
I mean,
kind of
that dude
I
he
mean
was a
like
performer. And it was really like, hey, answer the call type deal. It's a lot of
yeah,
pressure.
yeah, man.
What are some overall things that you learned out of Shaker football?
Mm. I would say I think that one of the biggest lessons I took was not just how to be humble when you do win, uh, but to be okay with losing. Like I mean, not okay with losing. Like let me explain. So I remember, like I said, second year of football, um, we're not doing too well, man, and like the coaches are stressing out, like we're trying to go back to the playoffs, this and that. Like we got like, bro, they're pushing us extra hard in practice, man, because literally like we went from JV to varsity, like completely new team almost between those 2 years, and I'm like, man, they got me trying to I was playing a position that I was new to. I was playing safety at the time, and then it taught me how to like adjust. Like so, one thing I learned how to adjust a lot. Be able to step up to whatever I'm doing. Like be able to like plug in. I can help out there, help out there. Um, but yeah, man, that taught me a lot about that. How to overcome small obstacles like that. And eventually, man, I really did enjoy playing football, but I didn't love it as much as I felt like I did to have like wanted to keep going. That's why I didn't play senior year because I wanted to take track more serious. I wanted to see if I could like what I could do with that if I went all in.
Very dope.
So
Definitely,
what
man.
I'm hearing is that you were juggling band, football, and now you're saying track too.
Yeah, yeah. That was a busy time, man. We were doing scholar. I forgot how busy we were in high school, man. We were running
Right.
around doing a lot of extracurricular scholars. Shout out to the Mac scholars. You know what I'm saying? That was a good experience in high school. Being a part of that team.
Bro, I loved our squad, bro. Our max squad team was just, and I
We had
think,
a
and I'm
nice.
not trying to. We had a squad, bro. It was fun, man. We just had great meetings. It taught me a lot. There's still values to this day that I follow from Max
Yeah,
Scholars.
let's talk on that.
Man, hey, yeah, like what you would say, X? Like, what's your biggest takeaway from scholars? Like,
It made me think about preparation. It actually gave me a little bit more respect for teachers, and now that I'm a coach, I kind of get that. Um, Dude, it's just being an advocate for others, trying to be an example. One of the big things that I remember Mr. McIntyre would always say would be like walk around the high school as if your like last name is on the back of the back of your shirt.
yeah,
Miss McGovern was just always so real, and I could just be so real with her about my grades. She was just
yeah,
always really. She was someone that always held me accountable, let me know that I could do better than what I was doing, and also like saw the worth that I had like as a student.
right,
Um, it was just like, and it was just like the brotherhood. We were all like about our business, but we were all like cool. Like I'm
yeah.
not like
It
you
was
know
cool vibes.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool to be a Max Scholar. It was, and some people like the people who didn't see value in it is because they didn't give it the time of day, or they just use it as a period just to get out of school. But when you
Right.
actually like, sat there and like planned a meeting or came and talked at a meeting, and
Mhm.
I loved that. That was so much fun, bro.
Man, bro, I remember before we uh interviewed and
Became
like tried out to become scholars, man. I was going to the meetings, and I remember one day Miss McGovern pulled me to the side, and she was like, "You're Nolan?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she was like, "We looked at your progress report," and she was like, "You're in the contention to be a gold medal winner for the like the most improved GPA entering the high school." Because in middle school, bro, all my grades were terrible, bro.
Yeah, same here.
Um, man, that was a
I
tough
mean,
time.
we was chilling. If the way that I look at middle school, and we could talk about it after Mac, it
Mm,
was like prison low key.
man, getting swept in the hallway,
Getting
getting
swept. We got
oh
swept in the hallway.
man, what was that shit called? OTS, ATS,
In
or something
school
like that.
suspension, ISS, or
Oh, there we go.
yeah,
All
with
right, so
Mr. Watson. Oh my gosh, you remember that? Wait, we go. That's a whole nother conversation. We'll talk about that soon.
definitely, man. Shout
But
out, homie.
back to you were in contention for the gold medal for your freshman year, and that's like the big award. That's at the end of the year, the Max Scholars have end of the year ceremony where they respect their seniors and they let the
Mhm.
new Max Scholars come in, but they also give out rewards, or they give out I'm not gonna even call it give out, but these students earned medals. So that means they attended meetings and their
Mhm.
grades were improved as being in the meeting. So back to what you were saying, Miss McGovern called you in.
Yeah, she called me in. She told me I was in contention, and I think at the time I didn't even know about the not it wasn't a contest per se. It was just I didn't even know about the opportunity to get a gold medal for most improved GPA. So when I found that out, I'm like, yo, because I had already started locking in freshman year. I started taking school a little bit more serious, but I'm like, man, now I got like a real goal. Man, I got a competitive spirit. I definitely wanted to be the best at whatever I was doing. Try to set myself up.
Yeah, I feel that. I remember just going in with Miss McGovern, and she just always kept it real with me. Like my freshman year, I just didn't do so hot in math. But she was like, other than that, you're looking all right. And then sophomore year, and we'll talk about this for a second. Sophomore year, she's like, "You're really like doing the thing, X. Good job, good job." And she's like, "You gonna be ready for the interview?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll be ready for the interview." But I actually had a regatta the day that they were doing the interviews, so
Mm,
I had to do my interview alone. It was weird, and they were they asked me a question, and I said, "Oh, what do you think of what do you think of others' opinions about yourself?" And I said like, "I don't give a damn," or I said something crazy, and they was all just like, they was kind of taken aback that I said it, but
mm.
it went well. Like even though I said it, like it went well, and then they were like, "Yeah, we want him to be a Max Scholar," and I was just so ecstatic when I got that Max Scholar letter. I was like, "Dude, fuck yeah!" So
Man,
my uncle was a Max Scholar, and he was um, part of those first few years of Max Scholar. So I always wanted to be a Max Scholar.
man, they used to be so raw because entering high school, seeing other people at your school, other black other black males, went well, and I remember we were young and they had all those scholars up there, saying all their scholarships they got and what college they're thinking about going to. Man, that was a lot of motivation, bro.
That was totally forgot about that. That was always so cool. Ah, that was so cool because it would be like I'm such and such and I'm going to Yale on a full ride. You be like I'm going to the Ohio State on a full ride. It would just be like it would be inspiration after inspiration, and it wasn't like this just some
Mhm.
statistic. Like these are consistent results, and if you
Yeah,
stayed with the program best you could, number one, it always helped you in school. People all like the staff always respected you if they knew that you were a scholar. You low key got away with some other with some, you got low key got some advantages compared to other students, but you were also an advocate, and you would get called out easily. Like you would get caught out so easy if you were slacking or if you were
man.
misbehaving,
Like,
talking
aren't you
too
supposed to be a
much.
scholar?
Exactly. That was
Yeah.
always like, aren't you supposed to be a scholar? Then you like, damn. And
Like,
you
hold on, let me
couldn't,
lock in.
yeah, and you couldn't like act up in class and then show your face in this meeting and then start spewing BS because it's like, all right,
Honestly,
you know what I'm saying? But and
and
it
it's
happened
funny
at
you mention that.
times. It
You know
happened at
how it's kind
times
of
though.
hard being like an advocate when like we're like these are our peers too, so they know how we act.
That was the thing, and you know, I would always try to put on a character when I was at Scholars, and not in a bad way, but I always like, listen here, young man. Like, and now, I mean, it's always great as a coach now. Like, some of the same
Mm,
stuff I was doing as a Max Scholar when we were doing the handshake. I
mhm.
like dap up all my team or all my athletes and make sure I talk to them. How you doing? How's your day? What's going on with school? We were that because that was always the conversation at Max Scholar. Are you okay in school? I think one of the best things too was, hey man, I had this teacher and she sucks, right? To put it in
Mhm.
layman's terms, how can I get through this teacher? And we had people who had already had her like the year prior, or him or her,
Mhm.
and they would give
Yeah.
you a guideline of how to operate with them. And it was just like it's a hack. And if you are a young African
Oh yeah.
American and shaker and you don't take part of it, you just making your life harder, honestly.
Definitely, bro. And it's like it just really you get so many more resources, like you were saying. You're meeting other like-minded individuals that are doing well in whatever industry they're in, or whatever specific. Because like we had guys that were good at science, we had guys that were good at math, we had the athletes. We had a good representation of our class.
And I think it was also cool that we had teachers who were actually Max Scholars as well. And then we had like they would come in and just even just sitting in a meeting, they wouldn't even have to say anything sometimes. Or they'd be like,
Mm,
I love the discussion that you guys were having. This is pretty good. Like, good job, you guys. But those alumni coming in and you know, at the end of like winter or like fall, they would come in
mhm.
and tell us what they're doing right now. A lot of them were in school, but a lot of them were out of school and doing the damn thing. And it was so cool to hear it from them. And it prepped me before years before I even left Cleveland. how was how things were gonna go for me. So
Yeah.
Corey, any comment on Max Scholars? Like I know you were outside of it and you were in score, but what's your thoughts?
Our arch nemesis. No, I'm just playing.
Well, nah, because yeah, I was in. I would participate in the scholars program only in high school, and I definitely remember in high school wishing that I was in it since sixth grade or fifth grade, whenever it started. And like it taught me a lot of things that I was extremely ignorant to, because that term, the shaker bubble, gets thrown around a lot, uh, and like I wasn't aware of what position I was in for just being like a black male, and especially in like the AP classes, because I look around and then you don't have any person of color. I'm one of the only people of color in the AP classes,
Yeah.
and I don't notice how big of how big a deal that is. That's just something that I just had throughout the whole my whole school experience, and so something that I needed to be told right in front of my face, like you should be proud of that. You should be hold that at a high stake. So that's like one big thing I took away from it. And like hearing you guys talk about it just makes me wish I was more involved in it. That's like a bad habit of mine, which is like wishing that you never should like dread on something back then, but like
Yeah,
uh,
I figured that.
yeah.
Like,
But
wish you could have like maybe took advantage of, or like
exactly, because that's one thing about Shakers, that there's so many opportunities out there. You just got to like you actually got to go for it. So
man. And I feel like, especially like how you were saying with the being now one person of color in a room full of mostly white students. It's an interesting experience, especially when you're in a school that's predominantly black. So you're automatically thrown into this environment, and whether you know it or not, um, you know, the whole class knows you're the only black person there. So if you don't take that serious, you're gonna make you subconsciously, you're gonna make yourself. You're not gonna put on a good image for what the black students at Shaker can really do. So
100%.
definitely made you like put that in like perspective. Being in those spaces.
Yeah, and one thing for me is like uh I had to really like sit back and just actually like witness what was going on, because I was in all levels of classes, because like I don't need to talk shit, but I didn't have the best counselor, so I was in like every single class. I was in AP, honors, and CP, and like after
Mm.
like actually paying attention, and this is like stuff that happened like outside of high school, like after high school, like me actually like looking back and being like, dang, like oh yeah, like this is like black and white, and you know uh but yeah, like other things out of
Mhm.
Max Scholars, it like you were talking about the medal for the most progress from a year or another year.
Mhm.
I remember getting a talk about being able to get the gold just like you. I
Nice.
definitely didn't get the gold. I think I got bronze, because and that's another thing, like I definitely, like looking back at high school, I definitely needed like someone to like tell me about my like position in academics, because that's something I did not care about in high school.
Mhm.
And it's something like out of high school where you realize how important it is. And it's kind of
Yeah.
like that you learning the hard way versus the easy way, because you definitely had all the support you could ever have in Shaker, especially as a minority. You just had to take advantage of it.
Honestly, man. And then I was gonna say, I remember when when uh when the end of the year event happened where they were passing out the medals and everything. I just remember how many people, how many alumni were there, and I was like, this is kind of like my first time, like, being on stage in front of so many people. And then, yeah, bro, I just remember I was shaking the superintendent's hand, the principal's hand, and it just really felt good to, like, like having that hard work pay off. Because, bro, I was like, I'm gonna stay conferences, like, extra credit, whatever it is, because, like, I knew that, like, you know people, like, were paying attention to what I was doing. That felt good to know that, like, you know what I was doing, like, kind of mattered, because not a lot of people take school serious, especially, like, you know, like you said, looking back, you might wish you did a little more, have those thoughts.
Yeah, that's why I'm super hard on my siblings, was because like I was one of the people who didn't take advantage of it. So now, like, whatever chance I get, whenever I'm around my siblings, it ends up I might be badgering a little too much, but every time I get the chance, I'm learning, like, telling them, you got to be on top of every single thing. It's like it's every second, it's every day.
Yeah, it's an ultimate grind, and I'm kind of. I mean, some people call it lazy in a way, but I just kind of call it like what am I actually gonna put my energy towards? So there only to do well in school, you need to put energy in certain aspects at certain times. And for some people, you can't operate like that. Some people need to stay on all the way, but
Mm.
I know that I can do all right cruising like that, right?
Finesse.
The finesse. But some people don't have that finesse, and you have to just. Some people are just bad, like they just never stop. They just keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like they never
Hmm.
stop, and we have a lot of friends like that, Nolan, who were on that, and high achieving all that.
Hmm.
But I also valued always valued experience, right? So yeah, I had to keep my grades in line in order to experience the things that I wanted to experience in school. So I didn't want to have like no life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I still wanted to like enjoy going to regattas without like stressing about homework. I wanted to take a weekend off, right? Like there were
Kick
certain
with the
aspects
bros.
to it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So uh it was always on. The schedule was gruesome now that I think about it. But it really trained us for where we all were going to be. And then look, one question I was going to have for you, Corey, is did you ever go to any of our meetings? Because your first year, I think, is our first year actually being Max Scholars.
Yeah, I went to the meetings. I want to mention one meeting that is another one. I'm gonna say this again, but like something that just really just opened my eyes for the first time. Well, not necessarily the first time. It was just like a reminder. Well, let me just get to the story. So it was talking about how to talk to police officers, basically, and they had like a whole brochure and everything. And you know,
This the one
I
with George.
with George, I'm forgetting George.
George
George
Woods.
Woods. George Woods was like, this
Oh,
one
what was
time,
that?
this cop stopped me, and it was because he was play fighting, and everybody in the small auditorium stopped, and they were like, "You were totally in the wrong, bro." And then he goes,
Bro,
and he
wait, hold
goes,
on.
"Dude, this is like a classic one. This shit was hilarious. Oh my!" Everybody was quiet, and Mr. Summers was in there, and Mr. Summers was the one that started talking. He goes, "Young man, you were in the wrong there, clearly." It was just quiet.
Dang, man.
That's hilarious. I'm not sure I remember that.
Because we were like, we're gonna do a sketch on like how to talk to cops, and we did a few of them. And George's was that. He's like, one day I was just play fighting with my buddy on the yard, and then we actually started like fighting. And then he was like, then the cops came up and like harassed us. The whole room just went like, bro. Anyway,
Man.
sorry, Corey.
No, you all good. But basically, like, my biggest takeaway from that was just that reminder of, like, you just can't, like, I'm not going to be saying like every cop, but you can't give cops excuses to use their authority. And like it could be as simple as keeping both hands on the steering wheel, hello officer, what's the problem, this, that, and the other. Because if you give a cop an attitude, that's just a recipe for disaster. Given depending on which cop you have, and that's just something that I had ingrained in my head from like any authority, and I could just definitely see how someone who's not um, hip to that could be very bad. But I also love the one meeting where they were talking about GPAs and getting into college, and they were just completely just setting it out on the projector, just like showing like GPAs and who got into certain colleges, and like
Talking
it
about that
just
Naviant. Oh my gosh,
and that just
that
helped
Next.
us
Naviant.
put a picture in it.
You remember?
And what's
Hey, that
up?
was a little grind.
Yeah, that Naviant man would mess you up, bro. You look up Naviant, it had the graph. Bing.
Yep.
Hey, I
Oh
got a question
damn,
for you
I
guys.
ain't going to Harvard.
Let's hear
Let me
it.
tell you, what's up?
I was gonna say like so Corey, did you go to college as well after high
Yeah,
school?
yeah.
Got you. And then I know X did, myself included. Now, uh having been to the same high school and having those resources, it was kind of like our path was kind of set and geared towards college. It was like the next, smart move to make.
It was
It would kind
expected.
of be
Yeah.
like, why aren't you going to college if you weren't?
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like college is necessary, or it should be something that everybody should try to achieve if they're trying to get to that next level in their careers or their life?
Yeah, that's a great question because I say the short answer is it depends on the person and what they're looking for, but like that kind of leads to another point for me. It's like, how are you putting this pressure on like a high schooler to make sure they know where they're going and what they want to do? Because
Mhm.
um, like we got a friend Davion who's making a video game, and he went to college and made the right decision to drop out because he had to fully commit to the game. And I think it was 2 years. I think it was he switched, or 1 year. X.
Say that again.
You
He was
know,
only there for a semester.
I was only there for a semester, but either way, like that's a lot of time that he committed towards college, and
Mhm.
um, you never know what you. Well, at that age, I feel like it's very hard to like know exactly what you want, and like it's if you're committing to be a doctor or something, and you're doing that right out of high school, and you get 2 years in, and you're like starting to second guess yourself. That's a big hit to your time and money. It's huge.
Mhm.
So it's kind of tricky. It's really, you have to know what you want to do. Because if you don't go to college and you have a plan, that's completely fine.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
I think for the Shaker kids, I think it is geared more towards kids who are going to pick school. I think that right now, that the college is like a racket in a way. I'm not calling it a scam. I think it is valuable for certain reasons. I think socially and whatever else, like I was able to further my leadership skills in college. Um, I was also prepared academically for college. I mean, not saying that it was easy, but it wasn't as hard as others were
Hmm.
getting through school.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I know there's a value in having a degree. I always wanted to have a degree in communications, just because I know there's different avenues to which you can like go about things. With that, with that, but in the long run, I don't think so. I think that, especially nowadays, you can find so many different avenues
Hmm.
to make a way, whether it's marketing, whether it's communication. I think you have the tools at hand. You just need to learn how to use them. I will say though, experience though, right? So
Right.
you're in a
Yeah.
lot of stress stressful like stressful situations that are man-made, obviously, but it prepares you for the real world in a certain extent, but not fully. Like, it's training wheels. So it's a train. It's I look at college as a racket, just money wise, because they just make hella money off you. But
Oh yeah.
also, it's just life on training wheels. So if you're like going straight into life is tough, right? Like straight out high school to life is tough. I think that it's a really good buffer for young adults.
Mm. I that's a good point. I think that college is good for a lot of people because a lot of people, in my opinion, could benefit from, a push in the right direction. If everybody kind of was like, I'm gonna be a TikToker, like forget college, there's gonna be a lot of good fields and things that aren't gonna be pursued that, definitely could use some some new energy. But at the same time, I remember first year of college, I was majoring in computer science, and I'm thinking, this is where I get to like, tap into what I'm really interested in. And I remember my computer science teacher, she was she was like 80 years old, and not only that, but not to say there's anything wrong with being 80, but she was teaching the class out of a textbook and on a projector, and like we're trying to learn how to code, and I'm like, I'm basically having to like go home every day and like watch YouTube videos and like put stuff together because I'm like, I don't have that hands-on experience. Like this feels like I'm, just kind of going through the motions because I'm learning this on my own now.
Yeah, in terms of like professors, like I forget who was saying this, but I've heard this very recently. It's like a good professor or a bad professor just gives more. Oh, shoot, I think it was like a good professor makes it easier for the student to succeed, but a bad professor um, that I just forgot it. But I'll say my own thing. How about that? Because a good student can succeed either way with a good professor or a bad professor. It's just like a good professor finds out more resources and tools to give their students to use, and like that's where I feel some universities are going to benefit from others, or even certain classes within the one university are going to benefit from the other. Because, like, I've had plenty of professors who English was not their first language, and that was like a
Hmm.
huge thing, man,
That's a
huge
big one.
thing. And because sometimes you just don't hear a sentence, and it's no one's fault, but it's still detrimental to your learning, and that just means more time outside of school to study. But
That's true, man. Like I honestly feel like like how X was saying with the training wheels, like life on training wheels, basically. You know, I feel like that's exactly what it is. It's gonna set you up to be in some good places, but you know, I speaking on me specifically, I ended up making the decision to pursue my own path outside of college when I started to realize um how much time and energy that I was putting into learning things I wasn't interested in versus getting started on something that I knew I had a passion for. So everybody has their own path. I just love when people get to do what they're passionate about.
Yeah, for me, I was always passionate of different areas of communication. Like, I killed my communication law class. I did all right in my comp theory class, like one of the hardest classes to do in communication. And then I was always in media, and I loved. I loved my professors. Every single one. I can only say good things about them. But they all had different challenges, and I think that that was very important for me, was to have a relation with, like, a professor, and we might not agree on things in certain aspects, but and they might be challenging me. But how do you react? How do you respond? How can you come back? Can you do better? Right. So this one time I had this one of my professors, my speech professor. I was a sophomore, killed it on my first speech class. Was on another class, and I'm thinking I'm the shit. I thought I was all that. I write this speech on Kobe, and I think I knocked it out of the park. I get back, and that score is like a 60, no, like 50 something. My homies was telling me they thought the speech was fire. I thought it was fire. Like, of course, I thought it was fire, but I hooked. And I didn't know. I didn't know how to come back from that. A year later, I'm in one of his hardest classes and just studying my ass off. And was one of the better students at the end of the class. But it
Mhm.
just took, you got to understand how certain people operate. You know what I'm saying? Like they not
Yeah,
gonna operate your way. You know it
what they expect.
exactly, and you got to meet those expectations, or else you're on the line. So I think that was perfect how I said it earlier. Is it is like training wheels to real life, because when you have a job, you're gonna work for people at times that
You
you
gotta
don't
comply.
like, and
Hmm.
you gotta keep up to their standards, and you gotta keep it professional as best you can. And there's gonna be times where you are in good situations. So if you are, like, take advantage of it. But there's gonna be times where it's gonna be rough. This is part of life. So what was it like getting set up in real life? Like, how was that for you?
Honestly, man, it was a struggle. Starting off, uh, because like I said, I did end up leaving college, just because my motivation wasn't, for going. Because I what I ended up doing was, I transferred schools. I ended up transferring to Cincinnati because I wanted to be in a bigger city where I thought they had a better business school. But I was living off campus and I didn't know that many people there, so I didn't really used to feel like going all the way to class, and I was just really lazy, man. And I'm like, I could do this by myself. Like, I can learn how to make some money. Um, but what did end up happening was, man, I got hit by life because, once my parents heard that, like, I told them, like, I'm not really trying to go to school. They were paying for like all my stuff, like, up until that point. And they're like, if that's what you want to do, go ahead, but it's on you now. So, I'm trying to juggle, like, you know, taking care of rent, and I at the time I was still doing taking a couple classes, and I'm like, man, I really gotta, lock in on something, or I'm gonna, like, I'm just making it 10 times harder on myself right now. So I ended up just stopping school completely, and I got into a field that I felt like could, I could grow into, and it could help me with my business. That's how I ended up working at Verizon, because I had a couple connects there that were telling me, it was a good job for tech and stuff. Like, if you like tech.
Word, yeah, I was gonna say, it may have felt like you were drowning, and like it was either swim or drown, like type of situation. What are some of the things? What are some of the key things that you can take from just that moment in life? A lot of times, people need to hear, like, was that your lowest for you? Like, or how would you describe that?
Hmm. You know, I would say, like, at the time I was really struggling at that point, just with feeling like I was progressing in life. I was kind of plateauing. I felt like I wasn't really working towards my goals. So I was definitely at a low. But then I just remember one day I just had to get real with myself, and I realized that, I either am gonna figure this out, or I'm gonna, like, end up going down the wrong path, man. Cause, like, life started getting real. So it made me, like, have to, like, step into that, like, next, like, mindset to prepare for the future. And that really, like, made me go hard for, working towards my business.
My question to you is, so how did the environment change? I know, especially when uh, men, right? I'm not gonna make it just a man thing. I guess it just adults in general going into adulthood. You start to like hang out with different crowds. Your environment starts to change in a way. When did you move back to Cleveland, and like how did all that happen? You know what I'm saying? And did your crowd change?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So, when I was actually living out in Cincinnati, I was kind of just, running with a group that I felt like, was lit, fun, cool. I was just mainly focused on having a good time, whether it was going to a party, going to whatever event was going on campus. Like it was crazy. I was going to events more than I was going to class. And then I realized, I could keep, wasting my time, or I could like lock in. And I'm like, I think I want to go back to Cleveland where um, I already have some connections. I can save some money and, really think this through. And I think that was a good decision, man, because I was able to, isolate myself from, all the distractions. And, I did have a good time and, may have some good memories, but I was able to, start kind of my own path. I don't think I was going to be able to like have that same path out there necessarily.
I feel that, and I mean everybody needs their, and what I call it, the Batman mode, right? Like you in your cave,
Mm,
you working on yourself, you working on what you need to do to be a better person, and then later on, you go out there and you become that superhero, right? So,
no better
um,
feeling.
what what kept you occupied during that time? Was there something creative? Was there any outlet that you had at the time?
Really, I was gonna say what kept me motivated uh was knowing like was reminding myself of my goals. Like, I've always wanted to like do a whole bunch of stuff. So I was like, so what I would do is like make sure that I would at least take a couple small steps in that direction, whether it was you know, networking at my job or, you know, trying to find more connections or whatever to use later for my business. Like whatever I was doing like was like, aligned with my goal. But yeah, I think dang, I just kind of lost my train of thought. What was the question again, man?
No, I was essentially just saying, like, did you have any outlets? Like, did you listen to music? Did you like what was there anything like in that range, right? And you were just talking
Mm,
about the small steps, or just like helping you, get to the big goal, right? Like these little steps are like your goal chasing. Really, that's what I call. That's what I would call it.
yeah. Um, I like kind of you said, like I really love media and I love technology. So I spend a lot of time uh learning how to code and how to leverage myself as someone trying to get into marketing, knowing that I didn't have the degree to, back me up. So I kind of had to like uh go a different route. So I would spend a lot of time you know, just trying to learn, self-teach and, uh I really enjoyed networking with other business owners because I love seeing like, their process and like, how did you get into that specific field and how is that why is it that that's working for you? Like I wanted to like get into that. Everybody everybody can do something. I feel like everybody can do something well. And that's I like bringing that out of people and connecting.
Yeah, I love optimizing someone's potential and letting them run with it. Hopefully, they
Honestly.
they use it with responsibility, right? But you know what I'm saying? Go for it. Like you have strengths, they are valuable. You find the value, and then go shop it out. You know what I'm saying? Don't sell your. I'm not saying go sell out or whatever, but go shop it out. And you don't know what type of, you don't know what type of opportunities, what type of connections you'll make off of being yourself. Honestly.
Bro, honestly, especially that's the way I feel like that's the way society's going right now. With a lot more, we have a less of a need for physical labor jobs, because we have like advancements in technology. So a lot of the jobs are transitioning into more uh, you know, in-person media, personality and like creativity. How can you use your own experience to like how can you monetize your own interests and passions and hobbies? And I think that once people kind of, especially uh for the Black community, I'll say there tends to be a like a unspoken or unwritten rules on, like, you gotta play basketball, you gotta do this and that, you have to have a wife by this age, and like, you should be making this much money and doing this and that. Like, those, that's fine and dandy if that's what you want to do. But sometimes not everybody, you have to be real with yourself, and like, if you're not a basketball player, stop playing basketball, man. Like, or like, just play for fun, and like do something that you're passionate in and your heart's in, you know.
So like focusing your strengths and passions instead
Yeah,
of
man.
yeah, yeah. And talking about like college and like figuring out what you want to do, that's definitely something that hits hard for me because like I'm in this transition period between because I started going off with mechanical engineering just because I was good at math and I knew I could do it. But
Mhm.
I was what 2 3 years in, 2.5. Oh yeah, it was like when COVID hit, so 2 years in. Um, and once I started doing that behind a computer, I just realized that that wasn't like what I wanted to do. And it's really because I didn't really put too much thought in it. And now it's like, oh, like what I want to be doing is something that I want to be doing. And, that's something that was so obvious, but I completely ignored it. And now I'm in that transition period where I already put the time and money into, uh, mechanical engineering, and now I got to shift it to what I want it to be. So that's like this big realization I've been going through for the past like year and a half. I feel like
Hey,
because
that's
you got,
dope that you realize that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's better now than never, but again,
Honestly, man.
that goes back to me like always on my siblings because now my brother's a freshman in college. And, he's got big ambitions. He wants to be a music major. He wants to do pre med, and I'm like, you go for it, but you got to make sure that you're committed to it.
Definitely, man. I was gonna say one thing that really hits home for me is thinking about like I remember this is something I'll probably always remember. I was real young, and I was visiting a family member in the hospital. I think they weren't like a close family member, but like it was like a cousin's aunt or something like that. Something. But I remember she was you know, getting towards the end of her life, and she was saying, you're so young. I would give anything to be that young again. I'm like, what you mean? Like, I never thought being young was like, anything crazy at that point. But
Mm-hmm.
she's like, you're either gonna, when you get to this age, you're either gonna spend all day thinking about all the great things you've accomplished and were able to do, or just be filled with regrets on things, you wish you would have learned or tried out.
Yeah, I feel like this is such an interesting age because I feel like, I mean, obviously, I recognize that there's so much potential here and there, but it's also, since this is like everything that we have experienced, every loss feels so much greater than that. So
Mm,
it's kind of like you feel you can. It's easy to get attached to like the losses that you had and think that like that makes you, but at the same time, like this is the time to make mistakes. You're supposed to make mistakes now, and like learn
hell
from
yeah.
your mistakes. Everyone knows that, but sometimes like I mean, again, that goes back to what I was saying earlier, how I need to be like slapped in the face with like lessons like that. It,
Like
it,
a
it
reality
seems
check.
yeah, yeah, exactly, seems obvious, but I just need that like repeated in my face. But definitely need to you need to just exercise what your strengths and weaknesses are and recognize it quick. Don't just don't be that guy who's making the same mistake 3 times. But you know,
Yeah. Cause I was gonna say, dude, a lot of times when you were saying how make these mistakes now, it's like you know, it's not even about what your family necessarily wants you to do. It's not about what society wants you to do. It's about what you want to do, because man, you only get to live once, so you might as well spend each day trying to do something that you're at least a little bit interested in. Like I would
Right.
hate to like be stuck working for like a company I hated, doing a job that
Right.
I didn't care about.
And then you do that for 40 plus years, and then you realize that then, and then what are you gonna do then?
Right? Great dad works tomorrow. Like, nah, man,
Mm-hmm.
can't do it.
Mm-mm.
So Nolan, what has the last like 2 years been like for you?
Man, last 2 years, man, I would say that's like kind of like transitioning out of the pandemic. Um, so really, during the pandemic, bro, I really locked in, like, because everybody was like had nothing but time on their hands. So I'm like taking that time to like learn more about my industries and stuff, and really just planning out like these next like 5 years or so. But not even just so much about that, but just preparing myself, like trying to make as many connections as I could, and like focus on the ones that people that I already met from school and high school, out out in public. Like I'm like, oh yeah, they did say they had a business. I wonder if they need a website. Write that person's name down, come back to it later. Um, Really just making sure that I'm putting myself in a position where I can you know grow after COVID. Like I wanted to like have like a crazy like come back out of that.
I feel that. I feel that. So
Yeah.
what are some big wins that happened along the way?
Mm, I would say probably one of my biggest was uh I think it was my second or third client. I got a contact from Jim Jones, the basketball player, retired basketball player, and it was for it was a project to do like a website for the legends of Cleveland, like the retired basketball players, and you know he was just kind of like letting me know how big of a deal it was that he was like willing to like give me like this chance, because he's like, man, a lot of times we just go for people that do have the degree, they do have the years of experience. But one thing that I'll tell you is that you've been really showing us that you care about what you do, and that you work hard at it. So like making these good connections, bro, you can go so far just off of who you know.
So tell me about how it was executed and how like so were there other were there other people that were vying to be the client as well or to get this client?
Yeah, man, honestly, so that kind of actually went a little bit interesting, bro. That was probably one of the biggest learning experiences for me as a uh digital marketing person, business owner. Because going in, man, like I was so excited. I'm like, yo, this is crazy opportunity, and like I'm like telling them everything I can do for them, this and that, and the third. And then once we got around to actually making stuff happen, it was just things happened. It just didn't go how I expected it. Like uh, it really taught me like there's gonna be difficult clients, there's gonna be good clients, there's gonna be clients that want stuff quick, fast, and in a hurry. Some that could care less how quickly it's done, or how many you know hours of code you spent typing. Like everybody's gonna be different and want different things. So I definitely had to spend a lot of time, you know, getting my mind right, because it was just tough having to build something that I didn't have like any like really background or prior information on. Like we had like that one talk, and it was kind of like he was like, yeah, so whenever you are done, just let me know. Like I couldn't like really like check in with him that much, or get
Be
like
like, hey,
feedback
check this
on
out.
the
Yeah, check this out.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got you.
I was dealing with his assistant, and waiting days in a row, and then at the same time still working a full-time job. So it was hard to stay consistent and feel like I was progressing well. So what ended up happening was I told them that you know the timeline wasn't reasonable for what they were asking me for, because they wanted a lot and they expected it to go as fast as another project they had going on, but they had a team working on that one, and I was you know not I can't do like a team's worth of work, like because I
in the
was just
same
doing
amount of time.
right. Yeah, they have like a front end coder, a back end coder, a graphics design person, somebody that's just doing social media, like getting them interesting and like good information to put on the site. Like I'm having to do all these things and plan it myself, so it was just a lot.
Yeah, and I've had similar experiences as well. Just having like trying to juggle it with a real job, right? And then
Hmm.
like, okay, yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to be the best I can be. Like I'm doing what one man can truly do, right? And if your expectations, and I can see that's why where I came from, with Max Scholars and even, college is you're gonna have people who are gonna have expectations that are low key ludicrous, right? And
Yeah.
can you manage? Can you manage through that? How do you manage through that? How can you get through it? But some people have been very lenient, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. And some people have been harsh, right? So you got to deal
Hmm.
with it. It's just part of life, honestly. So, um, what is the future looking like for you? And then, yeah, man, what is the future looking like for you?
Man, coming up in the future, I really just see myself keep going down the path that I'm going in now, and basically that's getting more clients for music, managing more clients, marketing for music, and I've actually been recently. I've been working with some churches in the area, and what I've been doing is helping them with like social media type of things. I actually just taught a 10-week course to a church. It was on in person and on Zoom, like on how to on like just technology basics, like social media, um, managing online bank statements, how do you use your phone, just what some stuff that they need help with. So I see myself, continuing to just grow my business and just collaborate and meet more like-minded people that want to progress in their field.
Yeah, one of my internships, it was also a side gig of my internship, so it wasn't my true internship. My internship was a basketball camp, but one of the executives of the board or whatever, his name, it doesn't matter what his name is, but he was a real estate agent and he's really cool. Shout out to him. He knows who he is.
Hmm.
But I helped him with his church's live stream. And that was one of my first experiences of like setting up, making sure everything's set up right, making sure we're gonna do a test shot right here. We're gonna see like, okay, if the pastor's gonna be right there, can you see? Can you hear? And
Yeah.
then uh, they made it happen they made it happen during COVID. I had to help him set it up real quick right before COVID, right before I went back to Cleveland, and I made it
Yeah.
happen, and it was a blast. So there's always
That's
a lot of
dope.
opportunity there at the church, man. You never know, and you know, older people need help with technology, so it does not hurt to be a consultant and be there for them and help them out on that
Honestly,
end.
man, because like you could end up, you could help them out of the goodness of your heart, but you could also, um,
Charge?
do
Mhm.
that, like
As
leverage
a
your
service.
business helping them. Yeah, as a service.
Yeah, and for the most part, I mean, you should never be afraid to ask on that regard, right? It is your service, and I don't think that they have a whole issue. They're not going to be like, "Oh, you need to do this because the kindness of your own heart." No, I think they respect that a young man is trying to do something independent of and works hard for it, and it really wants to do do some real work in this field. So, what advice
Hey,
would you have? to like young entrepreneurs and stuff like that?
I would say just how you said you know uh hmm, advice. I would say just put yourself out there, and don't think so much about having to be perfect or having to do everything right, because I feel like a lot of people miss opportunities just because they either think they're not ready, or they're not 100% ready. I feel like you know when you're like 70% ready, you got 70% of the information. That I feel like you have a good chance to be successful, or if you're not successful, you can learn and then be like, hey, that's not for me, and keep progressing, because I feel like that's just life in general. That's all about finding something, and then watching it grow, and seeing how it turns out. I was gonna say, and then also for entrepreneurs, man, don't be scared to turn down clients, because I was gonna say, just how you said, a lot of you would hope that a majority of the clients you have are gonna have your best interest in mind, especially as a solopreneur. But I remember I actually worked. I'm not gonna say the name of the company, but a local business. Uh, they I met them. It was word of mouth, real last minute. They were trying to use the rest of their marketing budget for the quarter. They had grant money that they had to use up. So I'm like, yeah, I can make y'all some Facebook ads. We could put this much money, this and that. Drew up everything for them, and they were like, can you give us like a test? Show us like what type of ads you would make. So I don't really do digital graphic design, but I have a little bit of experience of it. So I made some pretty cool ads. I'm like simple, it's pops, nothing crazy, but it was like solid, definitely. And they're like, this is great. Turns out they didn't hire me for the contract, but they used my ads, and I never would have even had wasted my time, do all that work, but I just was thirsty for a client. I got hurt on the back end.
Watermarks. That's what watermarks are for, man. Hey,
Hey, honestly, I gotta get, bruh. Thank you for saying that. You just reminded me.
yeah, I got you, bro. Yeah, watermarks, man, that saves the day because anybody could just do some crap like that. Honestly, that happens all the time in media, and if it happens in media, it's a little bit different. But when it comes to like something that is a property of yours and like intellectual property, it was just let me see something that is shady. They knew exactly what they were doing there.
Dude, and it's crazy because I remember the lady whose job it was for the company to do social media. I guess she was kind of she was upset that they had somebody else. They were hiring somebody else to do this job. So she was like, I'm gonna go ahead and finish the job myself. We don't need him. I can do it. Bruh, she didn't even use the right compatible files for the ones she used as for the ad, bruh. The whole tops of the heads of the people in the ad were cut off. So, that's just, you reap what you sow.
Yeah, man. Honestly, bro, you get what you get, bro. Yo, I, I've shared strategies before with content creators, and all of a sudden, magically, I'm not working with them, but you know the strategies are out there, right? They're being implemented, so
Mm.
it's always there. So that's why you should always, you know, what Kanye do. He kept up with all of his nice beats, right, until he was starting to rap, right? Like you got to do that too. So entrepreneurs always, secure your ideas. If it wasn't for Launch House, I would have not known that, and I would have told everybody all my new ideas because I've seen so many of my ideas just be implemented, successful, and then it's like on the back end, you're like, damn.
You're like, dang, I didn't know that. Like, I say I low key just dropped a gem.
Yeah, yeah. You just casually just chatting, and it's like, nah, let's actually like actualize that. So that's one of the things, like young man, that's what you should always. If you have great ideas, you have innovation in mind and stuff like that, creativity in mind,
Real game is
shelter
to
a
be
bit of it.
sold, not told.
Exactly, exactly. So Nolan, man, we really thank you. Corey, you got any questions for Nolan
Appreciate
for
y'all,
the
man.
end of it?
Well, I just gotta say, man, I very much appreciate you coming on because I feel like being such a similar age, well, more importantly, you being just 2 years apart from me, it's very interesting seeing like the similar um, like hiccups that we may have, like especially through college,
Mhm.
and it's kind of like a reminder for myself too, to just to keep pushing. But I guess my last question for you is like, what got you through like the lowest of lows?
That's a good question. It's a good place to lead us off. And honestly, I would say what got me through the lowest of lows was putting my faith in God, and I think that once I did that, uh, it was kind of funny. It was like I don't know if you guys have ever heard. It's like the one prayer God gonna answer like immediately is when you say you know like when you like ask for peace or something like that. So I was like praying for peace, like, and then I got peace. Like, all my old friends and all those old distractions were, gone. Like it seemed like they were gone overnight. But in the moment, I'm like, yo, I don't have anything to do. Like all my friends are acting funny, you know, everything's falling through. Like I'm bored. Like I was just like, having all things type of things to do like a couple of weeks ago. And then I realized, I was having some peace, and that let me, put my life in perspective and realize, like kind of what like I need to be doing, like what direction I want to go in.
And putting trust in God, man, it really takes time as well too to see what His plan is, right? Like when you
Mm-hmm.
see it after some time, and it's not going to be like overnight. It'll probably be a year or two. Then you understand why some friends went away, right? Or your situation changed or whatever, right? Like you get the full picture later on, but in the moment, it's just so like for a second, like Nolan, I did the same thing, but I'm like, dang, like I don't got my homies. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't got, you know what I'm saying? I don't got this. I don't
Yeah.
got this right now. And you like, ain't nobody understand where I'm at, bro. But
I feel you. It's kind of dope that y'all, not saying we're on the same journey, but it's kind of like, seeing like these things that we are going through, and struggles that you might face when you try to put your all into something, or you're working towards something, man. You got to make those small sacrifices, man, because that delayed gratification is, worth it.
without a
100%.
doubt, hey,
Yeah.
Nolan, thank you for
Appreciate
your
y'all boys,
time.
man.
Corey,
Yes, sir.
as
Thanks for having me.
always, right now, Corey on a run right now with the sniper of questions out here. American sniper out here. Good work, Corey.
American Sniper.
Hey, real talk.
Good
It's been
perspectives,
what's
man.
out, y'all. Peace out.
Stay up. All right. Dope, dope.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was a banger,
So
bro.
I feel like there was
Nolan,